Ladies and gentlemen, welcome
yeah.
to the pilot episode of May I Take This Bump, yet another wrestling podcast. I am Dillon Divine. That is Matt XStatic. Matty, how are you doing tonight, baby?
You know what? I gotta ask you this. How have you been? Before anything, you're the host of the podcast. I gotta ask, how are you? It's been forever. It's been forever since I've seen you, bud. How are you?
Hey, this is a tag team right here. We are co-hosts. There's no lead host, all right? So anytime there's a high spot in this podcast, I am tagging you in to come in, take a flip bump, tag me back in, and I'll do some talking and walking, baby. So
some clobber and knocking. All right, I'm good. Personal life is good. Work is good. Starting a business.
Tell me about the business. What kind of business are you doing?
Business.
Porn industry with that stash.
Sorry.
Are you in the adult entertainment industry? What are you doing?
Oh, you didn't know I'm in the film? No. Not the film industry. I'm not no Ron Jeremy. I'm not rocking a 13-footer here. It's called ESQ Home Maintenance. It's pretty much just a home maintenance business. Pretty much roofing, power washing, and so on and so forth. Gutters and all that stuff, because I can do that. Figured during this time of COVID, might as well have like a side gig besides my real job, and it's going good. So, yeah, life's good.
All right, your own business. That's a little peek behind the curtain there for you wrestling fans out there. Me, myself, I don't have a real job currently, but I am going to school for my bachelor's degree in sports journalism. Yeah. So, and I'm also taking a podcasting class right now, which is what gave me the idea to do this podcast in the first place. And I asked Matt if he was on board, because neither one of us are wrestling right now due to COVID-19, the coronavirus, which you may have heard of. If
it's
you
the worst.
Don't live under a rock right now. Matt, when's the last time you wrestled?
My last match was, I believe, March 2nd of last year. So March 2nd of 2020, literally just before COVID hit, like actually hit.
So you were wrestling right up until the shutdown, right?
Pretty much until the shutdown. Like, we had a show the following weekend. We had PPW, Pacific Pro Wrestling, and like I was getting ready to go to the show literally that Saturday, and the promoter's like, yeah, they just shut everything down. I was like, oh, well.
Was that like a thing by like the government there, or was it just like
it was the government. They kind of like waited to the last minute and followed everybody else. They waited till like certain countries started to like shut things down, and then they're like, all right, shut down everything, sporting events, concerts, so on and so forth, stores. So yeah, it's been tough. So
Canada. Up in Canada. Yeah, my last match was actually with you at WCWC in St. Morgan. Shouts out to them. Last August of 2019, was July or August 2019, summer of 2019, and then I moved from Washington State to New Jersey to attend Rutgers University. Shouts out Rutgers University, where I'm getting my bachelor's degree. And I was like, I'm gonna wrestle on the Northeast. I'm gonna wrestle going up north, brother. And then my plan was to make some contacts and start training at a school over here, get back in shape, ring rust, all that stuff. And I'm fat and get all that knocked off. And then COVID happened eventually, once I had some free time and COVID happened. And you were going to come up here and we're going to try to do a little loop-de-loop, right?
That was the plan. We were talking about it, and finally, like, the money was there, the vehicle was there, the time off was there. And then all of a sudden, you're hit with this
all of a sudden literal act of God and or science, maybe both, depending on what you believe in. We don't want to offend anybody here, because that's not what we're here for.
That's not what we're here to do. We're not here to offend anybody. We're here to have fun. Okay,
we're here to have fun on this wrestling podcast. May I take this bump is what it's called.
May I take this bump? Would you ever just ask for a bump? Would you just be like, hey dude, can you just give me like a bump, like, just
brother, give me a bump, bump me, brother.
Listen, brother.
Yeah, I could see it. Some bump me, brother. Like,
I don't mind. Like, I don't mind being like, oh yeah, I'll bump for you, but like, I'm not gonna be like, yo, I want you to give me the biggest backdrop you could possibly ever give. Someone give me. Oh my god!
If you could launch me into space and end my life, that'd be great. In match 2, that is 5 to 8 minutes long.
All right.
Speaking of wrestling, did you watch the Royal Rumble? Because I know I was doing homework and I didn't actually catch it, but I read about it because that's what I do. I still follow along a little bit as much as I can.
Yeah, of course. I did not. I haven't watched wrestling in a long time, to be honest. I've just been so out of the culture and so out of
Any
the
wrestling at all, not just WWE.
and,
I watch any.
like I'll kind of skim it, but like as for the Royal Rumble, not at all. Like I saw highlights, like I got some highlights right here of like Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns and stuff. And it
Which
looked
is
like
crazy
it was
because Royal Rumble is one of the best pay-per-views that they have. It used to be like can't miss, right? I know for me personally, like it's been a while since I've like regularly watched wrestling in terms of like watching every Monday Raw, every SmackDown, every whatever Dynamite show that's out there. But in terms of like since COVID has happened and there's no fans at the arena, I know for me personally, it's hard for me to get into the product to watch a wrestling show without fans there. It's just really weird. What do you think?
It's because wrestling fans add that atmosphere, like that realism that you like. It's like being a superhero with no fans, essentially. Then what are you being a superhero to? You're just kind of just saving. You're saving people who are not appreciating you. It's kind of like that same thing. So like when you watch people, when you're watching wrestling and there's no fans, it's kind of like, and there's no real heartwarming reaction. You're just seeing a loaded screen and you get a reaction maybe 3 seconds later, 5 seconds later after whatever's happened. It's just not the same. There's no, what am I trying to say? There's no adrenaline rush, you know?
Right. So yeah, I agree. And like I'm a big fan of traditional sports as well. I know Matt doesn't watch any sports because he's Canadian.
Hey, I watch a couple of sports. I got hockey up here.
You watch curling or what, bro? You a big curling fan up there?
Curling, no.
The one with the brooms, right? And
the broom, yeah, and you go.
Yeah, you know what it is.
I know what curling is. I don't watch it.
No, even like NBA and NFL. Like NFL was kind of weird because like some states were allowing fans to come to games. Some states weren't. Like my team, Seattle Seahawks, had no fans, whereas like the Jacksonville Jaguars had some fans, which I think is weird, you know. But it's the same thing though. And like the biggest thing that I can't get into, I guess, is the piped in, both for WWE and for regular sports, the piped in like crowd noises.
Oh yeah, because you know what's different. Like I think I've heard the same crowd 30,000 times on one episode of Raw, whenever or if I ever tune into it. And it's the same
playing the video game where it just loops eventually through Michael Cole's
It's literally listening to it's like Jim Ross on WrestleMania 19 where he repeats the same 7 lines as an answer.
That's all they paid him to record. Yeah. But yeah, I caught a clip of the Rumble.
Yeah.
And like I remember I can't remember what the spot was, but like they did some spot and they started piping in like "This is awesome." You know what I mean? Which is just like a way to like really pat yourself on the back there. Like, all right, go ahead and I think at this one spot here, they're gonna think it's awesome. So go ahead and pipe in. This is awesome.
I think I got the highlight up here, and I think I just passed that part.
To my own matches, I'm gonna bring a boombox and just press play on a spot that I want the crowd to pop on, and just this is.
That'd be such a good idea. That'd be such a terrible idea. No, that'd be a great idea for right now. There's some companies that are wrestling. There's some companies that are running shows. They could just come out with the stereo.
Doesn't that blow your mind?
It does, yeah.
Like, I mean, WWE and AEW is one thing because, like, if they're getting COVID tested, they're being professional about it. You know, people argue that, but like that's what they're
like your typical indie wrestling,
like a real professional sports like league, right? Like NBA had the bubble, they do the COVID test, NFL does the COVID test and everything. But like, as far as like an indie wrestling show, to where it's like it's hard to trust some indie wrestlers with other stuff in the first place. Then you're gonna trust they show without not having COVID. Like, I mean, it'd be hard to get me on board right now to do an indie wrestling show. Like
it would be for real, because like as you said, you can't trust them. You can't, like, it's hard to trust people because they're especially in wrestling, because like it's just like that whole mentality. If you're hurt, and like if you're hurt, you can either not wrestle and you might lose your spot, or you can just suck it up and wrestle. So it's kind of like on those terms, like if I'm not feeling the best, should I let people know and just kind of be told to go home, or should I just kind of like keep it hush hush and just, you know, work? So you never really know who you're working with, and because people are untrustworthy, right? But yeah, it blows my mind that that people are still working.
Yeah, there's a lot of promotions like still going. Like
I know, it's crazy. Like some are just opening up too now, right? Like it's I don't know. There's so much opinions about it.
Not my thing. But anyways, so
the politics.
Let's not bury anyone now, but probably shouldn't be doing shows during a global pandemic. You know, I'm no scientist or anything, but I do play one on TV. But what else about wrestling is on your mind, Matt? Like, what about like how? I know we were talking a little bit before we went on the air here, and you're talking about how wrestling is changing.
Yeah, I think wrestling is definitely changing in a way. I'm like, when I was trained, I was obviously trained a certain way. I was trained in an old school way because my trainers were old school, and I was
everybody had guns in the locker room when you were coming
up. And everybody had guns in the locker room, and they were always doing blow before their matches.
They're all tough guys. XStatic in the locker room. People took care of business when Matt was coming up in the locker room.
Yeah. They took care of business. Yeah. You know that little pocket over there has a knife. But like
in your trash bag pants.
Oh yeah, those are classics. Yeah. It's just changed a lot. Like there's this I recently like experienced this show of disrespect, not just for me, but for the people around me, as well as the business that we love, right? You say you love this business, then respect it, no matter how it's evolving, right? You know, certain things are a certain way, right? But like some people are just being taught the wrong way, I think.
So what do you mean by that? You mean like as far as like in ring, like the mechanics, or you mean like as far as like locker room etiquette?
More so like locker room etiquette and respect, you know. And that's one thing that I think is changing. Everybody's being more lenient, I would say, with it, like not so strict as in back in the day. Like I remember one of my buddies, great guy, great worker, great boss who runs the company.
Or you can tell he's about to bury somebody. That's what happens whenever.
No, I'm not burying anybody.
When you're about to bury somebody, guys, little insider baseball here. Whenever you're about to bury somebody, you're like, he's a real nice guy. Let me tell you. And they're like, but he cannot work.
No, but he was saying that back in the day, one of the promoters slapped one of the workers because he wasn't respectful. And I think
this is Jim Cornette.
This is not Jim Cornette.
Sounds a lot like Jim Cornette. Okay.
But like back in the day, they used to beat the respect into them if they didn't have respect, and then they would yell at them for as a different sort of punishment. And now there's not even that. It's almost as if they just kind of brush it off and let it go away. It's kind of like at my actual shoot job. I work with a bunch of head cases, and no matter how many times they screw up, no matter how many times they don't show up, I hope they're watching too. No matter what, the owner will never fire them. You know what I mean? There's no discipline. It's just like, okay, keep coming, just keep coming. I don't care if you miss 2 weeks of work, just come on back.
Yeah.
You know,
just happy they eventually show up.
Yeah, there's just no real discipline when there's things, or it's just not brought to attention. That's all. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know what you're talking about in terms of like, because even when, not to sound like some grizzled old vet, when I broke in, brother, in 2010, back in 2010, when I broke in and was getting trained, it wasn't, it wasn't like as rough and tumble as like the 80s or the 70s, obviously, but like, yeah, exactly. There was a lot, it seemed a lot more physical, like, you get beat up, see if you can take it, brother, kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line though. Like, I definitely think that like, maybe you're right in terms of today, like maybe people do get away with too much stuff, but like some of the ways of the past are kind of dumb,
Yeah, no, for sure. Some ways of the past are dumb, for sure, which I do agree upon. But like, for example, like when you broke in, you were always told to go on, take a road trip, always travel, get that experience, work anybody, anywhere, at any time, right? So you can gain that experience, you can gain that you can pave your own way in some sorts, you know what I mean? And some people just don't believe in that anymore. Some people are just crapping on other promotions because they're like, oh, they're just they're like a backyard fed. They don't really mean anything. You can't really grow from there, and that's that's teaching them a wrong way. I think you should work everywhere, anybody, and at any time. To be honest, like even if you have to travel,
even if it's like a bad place, even if it's like a bad show, though, because there are shows where if I was a wrestling trainer, which I'm not, but if I was a wrestling trainer, right, there are some shows I probably wouldn't want my like green as grass rookie to go to because the guys there aren't trained well enough themselves to not injure them or teach them the wrong thing,
Yeah, of course. But to touch base on that, I've been to promotions where I will never go back. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't be a part of that.
Kind of like, you know what I mean? By fire type thing.
Exactly. There's a lot of word of mouth and a lot of talking, and it gets passed along, right? It's kind of like when a child is growing up and you don't want to swear in front of them because at one point that child's going to say ass, or even worse, because they just catch on, and that's how trainees learn. They just kind of follow what their trainer says. But the thing is, you have to experience it for yourself. And we've talked about this before, where some people talk about others and them, but our experience has been different compared to what they have said, right?
Right.
So that's that thing where the students are listening to the coaches because they're saying this, but they haven't experienced it. So that's another thing. Like, it's just like you should encourage your students to do everything and anything possible to learn and get that true experience. Because if they don't, they're never going to have it. And then if that happens, then they're not going to know what to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because when I broke in, at first I'd work matches at like my home promotion. Like, how it's like you start working matches against like you're in battle royals, right? When you like absolutely you're green and suck. And then you're maybe in like a student teacher tag match where the expectations of the crowd is like, okay, this guy is not going to be very good. And then eventually you're working regular matches at your home promotion. And then eventually promoter was like, hey, why don't you go try to get some other matches? And trainer was like, hey, why don't you try to get some matches outside of this promotion, right? Yeah. And you go to some, not to insult anybody, some lower promotions kind of thing to practice,
And it's not insulting,
right? Well, I mean, if I were to mention them by name, they might be mad. But everybody knows that that's what it is. Well, that's why they're sending the rookie there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
They didn't get experience, and and it did help. I worked with guys who weren't necessarily like the best.
Yeah,
some were okay, some were not very good. And you learn. It's kind of like a baptism by fire thing. You learn how to be sort of a ring general at a young wrestling age.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you get in situations where it's like, oh, you got to think on your feet and you got to take over. You're no longer with the training wheels on where like your trainer is sitting there just like completely babysitting you because your trainer knows everything you can do.
Exactly, because he
trained you. He literally is the person who gave you all your knowledge, though, right? You know what I mean? So he's not going to call some weird, at least he shouldn't call some stupid weird thing where it's like you're not going to know what to do.
Mm-hmm. I love working green kids. I love working them because I get so much. I learned so much from it, and actually I love working people. Because I learned from it too. I learned
names, Matt.
There's no names, but there's like they know who, like there's this one time I was working this guy and he was supposed to be the heel and I was the face. And we all know people's jobs. It's not hard.
Okay, for people out there who don't know, if you're watching this podcast, hopefully you know what that is, but face, good guy, heel, bad guy.
Heel, bad guy.
Yeah. If this is like your introduction to wrestling, I feel sorry for you, but hopefully now you know a little bit more.
So Buddy's in there, and all of a sudden he's calling a shine for himself.
Yeah, because that's all he knows.
And I'm like, brother, you're a heel. You don't do this. You don't do this. anyways, I'm just going with the flow at this point, and then all of a sudden, he's we're going into. I'm supposed to be taking the heat, and then he starts calling a hot comeback, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And
At that point, you gotta just cut him off, dude, and just take over. I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah. Oh my god.
When I went to Eldon, Missouri for a week to train at the Harley Race Wrestling Camp, this was obviously a while ago. It was like 2011, I think. I went with a couple guys from the Oregon Territory, brother, Ethan HD and Jonas Albert Robinson. Shouts out to them.
Shouts out to them.
And what they would do is like Ricky Steamboat and William Regal were there, and
that's sweet.
Murdoch was there, and they would do a thing where they'd have a bunch of kids, us, right, and like 30 of us or something like that, and they'd just pair us off and be like, have a 5-minute match, right? And you don't necessarily get time to like call spots, so you just get in there and kind of like just do like the basics, and you're literally talking it out. You're not
basics, guys, basics.
Yeah, you're not doing spots or whatever, right? So Jonas gets in there, and Jonas, for people who don't know,
Jonas Robinson,
predominantly heel worker, right?
Great heel. Great heel.
Yeah. Really good at getting under people's skin, right? That was what his best at. So he liked working heel, obviously. Like if that's something you're good at, that's what you're gonna want to do. So he gets in there, and they tie up, right? Him and this guy who's from a different area. I don't know who he was. They tie up, right? Jonas takes a wrist lock, right? And he goes, "How do you like that, Eldon, Missouri? I'm the man," right? Obviously, like heel thing. And the guy, Jonas tells me this later. The guy sitting there, wrist lock. The guy goes, "Are you working heel?" And Jonas goes, "No, dude, I'm the world's worst baby face," and then wrenches it. Like, get no,
Oh my god, yeah, no. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. But like in those moments, you learn like, okay, I know what I'm working with.
Yeah, right. Like at that point, you're like, okay, well.
Oh, that's awesome. That made my night. That's an awesome story.
You know what I mean? So another big thing in wrestling that we were talking about in the news of wrestling, we were talking about before we went on
the news
was the Undertaker.
The news of the Squared Circle.
Yeah. The Undertaker. You want to talk about that? And I hadn't watched the interview with Joe Rogan yet. I tried to look it up on YouTube. I kind of pieced it together because too lazy to download Spotify and to listen to the actual whole thing. But what I got from it basically is him talking about how I guess some people were rubbed the wrong way. Because he said the product now, was it specifically WWE or just wrestling in general, is soft?
I think just wrestling in general.
He said it was soft,
he said today's wrestlers are soft. They're not as tough as they used to be. Like
the wrestlers or like the actual product itself, or both?
The wrestlers, not the product. Okay.
Like the guys in the locker room.
The guys in the locker room, yeah.
Yeah. So take us through, like, exactly. You know more about it than I do. Take us through that. Like what?
So, I didn't listen to it, but I heard. As I said, I heard about it, and like.
You sound like a promoter now, brother. I didn't watch your match, but it sounded good.
I didn't watch your match, but I heard a lot of good things about you. But like, so he just pretty much commented on how wrestlers aren't tough anymore. They're not real men. They're just boys playing men, essentially. They're not as tough like back in the day, like Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter and Bruno Sammartino. They
Harley Race,
Harley Race are like these tough, brute, old school men. Right, old school men, like
like the clip I saw,
like iron workers, miner type.
Roofers, maintenance guys with their own business. The clip I did see on YouTube from Rogan's podcast was him saying something along the lines of, and paraphrasing here because I don't have it in front of me, him saying something along the lines of like, I miss the old days when everybody was tough, people took care of business, people did he say something like people had like guns or something, or am I?
Something about having a weapon in your bag just to defend themselves, just in case something.
Yeah, something along those lines. Like grizzled old tough guys, and now everybody plays video games and is worried about how they look more so. So what do you think about that? Do you think like he's out of line saying that, or?
I think he has a point when it comes to professional wrestlers maybe not discriminate their like them being men, because we're all men, like you and I are men, but maybe so more sensitive, maybe they're more sensitive. Like in today's age of pro wrestling, you can say anything. Like you could be cutting a promo and it's the work and someone will get upset. Like it's happened to me. I've cut a promo and they got super ooh, I swore.
All right. We're on like, we're on pay channels, brother. We can cuss here.
But like for real, I cut a promo and I called this guy muscle. I said muscle dummies and dreadlock goofs or something, and they got shoot hot. And I'm like, it's just a promo.
Like a worker did, or the fan did?
Yeah, the workers. Yeah, because it was like a tag match. It was like one of my last tag matches in that promotion, and I just called them like muscle dummies and dreaded haired hippie or something, or goofs or whatever. And then they just got super hot. Like they're just like, because it was word of mouth that I heard it from. So word of mouth kind of got to.
They didn't even say anything to you personally.
No, they never said. That's the thing. That's also a thing in wrestling. I think that's another thing why Taker was like, yeah, everybody's such a, everybody's so, they're not men. It's because they never confront you, right? And I'm guilty of it too. And I'm sure we've all shot other people and we'll never confront them or haven't. But that's what I think that's what he also means. Like no one's really willing to confront right away. They just kind of linger and kind of talk. And I wish that's also another thing how wrestling's changed. And I'm also guilty of it because I know once this podcast goes out and certain people listen, they're gonna be like, "Oh, he's lying." No, I'm gonna admit to it. I'm guilty of it too. But it's the fact
we're gonna get absolutely buried after this.
But it's the fact. Episode. But it's reality. It's the truth. It's the fact that no one's willing to confront the problem. They're just gonna talk and spread that.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe where he was touching base. I don't think he should have involved because he talked about video games and
that to me it seems kind of like a, for lack of a better term, old timer type comment.
That's an old timer. Yeah, that
sounds like something my dad would say. No disrespect to the Undertaker. I mean, obviously we all know the legend or whatever, but it sounds like something my dad would say.
Yeah,
you go on the video games,
No, yeah. Listen, you gotta stop playing those video games. I keep looking over because I got the screen with all the information.
And he even said though that times are changing. It's just evolving. It kind of feels like evolving. He's like, I don't get it kind of thing, which I understand.
That's exactly. He just doesn't get it. Yeah.
There's some stuff I don't get too. You know what I mean? Not just in wrestling, but in life. That's when you start to feel really old. Is when you're like, oh, what the heck, and you find yourself doing dad stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much what he was touching base on. But as for their work, they're still hustling and bustling. They're still working every day as much as they can during COVID right now, and they've been hustling and bustling ever since. They're just not carrying guns in their gear bags.
So did you see any fallout from that though, from WWE guys or AEW guys?
I got a couple things up here. So Xavier Woods posted about it, and he said,
WWE superstar, right?
WWE superstar, yeah, don't forget. But he was also
the New Day.
He was also Consequences Creed in TNA. Oh, I gotta get my where is it? My charging device on my laptop here.
This is all going in the director's cut.
That's all right. It's
seeing Matt's jump
behind the curtain
as he looks for the charging device.
Yeah. So what Xavier Woods said is, I wouldn't be the person that I am without the guidance and lessons of a few key people from previous generations of wrestling. They taught me about the business to save money, and that having video games in the locker room is healthier than having redacted. Redacted? I don't know what that is. It could have been anything. It could have been gun. That word, it could have been blocking anything. So have an open mind, people. And then it says, thank you, guys.
The word was redacted?
So it says redacted.
Blacked out, like a government transcript?
Yeah, redacted. Yeah, as if he said something I shouldn't have said.
What website are you on?
SESscoops.com. Yeah.
On the
And
dirt,
then
brother.
and then he followed up that tweet with another one that says flight got delayed 10 minutes, so I decided to amuse myself and made this. And it's essentially him doing a top rope drop kick on, I don't even know who it is. He's doing a top rope drop kick, and then the guy who takes the drop kick is he edits it and makes it as if the Grand Theft Auto wasted, as in the guy's dead. So just mocking the Undertaker's comment about playing video games, playing video games and being in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand people not agreeing with what he said. Like, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with everything he said, but like some people really
of
take
course.
that stuff to heart. I think it's one of those things. It's kind of like the whole like don't meet your heroes thing. And I'm not saying what he said is necessarily bad, but like a lot of people with the way social media is, and now like we have access to all these celebrities and heroes of the past and everything. And with Undertaker doing like interviews, which he never did before, like great character, like him, the thought of him being on a Joe Rogan podcast, like absurd only 5 years ago. You know what I mean? Like completely out of character. So I think a lot of people they get offended when people have opinions that they don't necessarily agree with, like you see a lot of stuff on the internet, like I know, like not to make this a thing, but like I don't know how much of this is true. It was a meme on Facebook, brother, so I'm sure it's 100% accurate.
Oh, it's 100% accurate.
The Chris Jericho like donating to the Republican Party thing, like everybody.
Oh I heard about that.
A political person, which I mean, like normal, I don't give a crap like what he does.
Yeah, of course,
it is funny to think of Chris Jericho, the Ayatollah of rock and roll, the like renegade dude. You know what I mean? Like a Republican Party donate. Like that is weird, you know what I mean? Like
it is a little weird.
Yeah.
But like I saw the meme about that and I was just like, that was my reaction.
It's a meme. And then it's a news. Big day journalism right here.
Right? There's one thing that was really stunning of what was the year? Of 2020. One tragedy was Brody Lee.
Yeah.
And that was a big one because it was unexpected. No one really knew what was happening.
How old was he?
I didn't even. He was 41, super young.
41.
Super young. 41, yeah, super young.
That's crazy.
And it was just super, super unfortunate because he was just hitting his he finally got released from WWE and he was gonna hit it. He was gonna do a singles run and do go past of what he was just kind of halted at WWE because WWE kind of held him in that same position, right? They just changed his character. He was always in that same position though. At AEW where he had the freedom to be that Brody Lee before, right?
Well, even beyond just wrestling, man, to die at 41.
That's crazy.
He's got a kid too, right? Like a wife and a kid,
on the 26th, literally the day after Christmas.
Super sad, dude.
Super sad.
And that kind of stuff, I'm not 41, but I'm not that far away from it. I'm 40. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not 40. But no, that's a young age, dude. And when you see stuff like that, it really makes you think about your own mortality.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, because I'm 27 and now I'm thinking, and I was actually thinking about this the other day, with wrestling and stuff, how long can I go, right? Until the time, because that's something to think about too, right? But yeah, super, super young.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anything else in the world of wrestling that's got your eye right now? I mean,
AEW.
You're talking about AEW. I haven't watched a whole lot of AEW. I know some people who I know of, obviously, the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes and stuff like that. And there's some people I know personally who I've met, acquaintances. Go so far as to say friends or buddies, but acquaintances that work there or have worked there, and it looks like a pretty cool product. What do you think of it?
I like it. I think I remember when AEW first opened up, and I was really this could work because you have different brains combined in different eras, and then the fact that they're bringing in these Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, and Sting and they're all, there's so many different eras and so many different creative ideas flowing that, and everybody's kind of like going with it, and it's all, I think it's making a good thing. Obviously a little super, it is super indie for sure.
Now
Like
what?
it's
Now
super
for the people who
indie.
don't know, what do you mean by super indie? Explain that.
Oh, just like like all crazy bumps and really, really fast. Not no old school wrestling, you know.
Every
Boom,
match
boom,
has a
boom.
dive.
Every match has a dive. There's at least 2 flips, super
Yeah.
kicks all day.
Can
Which, and I'm not shit on it. I'm just saying, like, everybody has their style. Everybody has their niche. WWE has theirs. TNA has theirs. ROH has theirs. ECW had theirs. You know, it's just the way the product is, right? But at least they have like a good a good management team. And Tony Khan has a lot of money, so it seems like he's doing very well for himself too. It's been
Yeah.
what, a year or two?
Yeah.
I do want to say though, MJF popped me on Twitter the other day because someone had tweeted to him that their son got an MJF doll, like an action figure, and he was unimpressed. And then MJF commented, he's like, "Your son looks like your son looks like a drug addict." Just like, who's straight edge, just like Darby Allin. And it was literally a kid, like a 7-year-old kid. I was just like, oh, man has no filter.
That's
just
heat right there, brother.
What
do you think about that matches that like that? I mean, not to sound like an old grumpy old guy from the past, but like the shows that every match has a dive now. It seems like, especially on like indie shows, and not all the dives are even good. Like, what do you think of that?
I think dives have their place. That's the only thing I can actually say. Like, I'm fine with it being in every match. I don't care, because if you do it, then you're just wasting a good dive.
Every match, though.
I'm getting to that. Like, me personally, I don't give a shit if every match has a dive. Then I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to be different. But it's the fact that people need to know where they should do certain things, right? It's kind of like, you're not going to do 2 low blows in two matches. It's stupid, right? So why would you do a dive in every show? Why would you do why would you do super kicks throughout every show? You know what I mean? I think it's just I don't know. I think it's just people just having fun at that point, just kind of going with it, having fun, not giving shit, to be honest. Like, let's just pop the boys, maybe.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the problem. It's like, you can definitely tell there's like different types of indie shows, right? There's indie shows where it's like, it feels like an actual professional event, even though it's indie, where there's like a story and a structure and a match card kind of thing. And then there's other indie shows that I personally have been on, where it feels like the Wild West, where it's like they just tell you who's going over, and then you just go out there and wrestle. Like, they don't even really give you a time limit, and every dude,
you just kind of do it on the fly, brother.
Every match is like 20 to 30 minutes, and every match is a dive, and every match is a super kick, and everybody's kicking out of finishers, and all that kind of thing. And I know, like, it's not popular to like say something like that now, because like a lot of people do it, but to me, like, the whole every match is a dive thing, is stupid to me, you know?
It is dumb. Like, I'm
no match ever ends with a dive either. Like, no one has ever won with a dive. It's like a transition move at this point, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you. I just don't care, because I stopped when it was like, because I was always taught, every match has its place, and you and I both know that the first match is always the hot opener. The second match is usually the match. The third match is like
not the match, the popcorn match. For you folks that are out there working the second and third match.
Well, like that's,
or
like,
if
that's
you want to be a little meaner,
though.
the letdown match, you know, kind of thing.
The letdown match, and then the third one's like a pick me up or a tag, and then there's like, depending on how many shows you have on the card and how many intermissions you do.
Was it somebody told me the 2 most important matches are the opener and like the match right before intermission, right?
Yeah, because then that's going to keep the people going for the end, for the 2 last matches, which it should only be 2 after the intermission.
Yeah.
Because I find that 3 is a little too long.
And that's another thing is like a lot of these TV shows like have like 18 match cards.
Yep. They should have 5 to 6. That is it.
It just it's like, dude, like that's just too much, right?
It is. It's because promoters can't say no and they just want to book everybody. It's just like, listen, it's quantity over quality, right? Or quality over quantity. Sorry, I ever kind of dyslexic that.
No, it's quantity over quality. You want quality over quantity, but it's
that's what I'm saying.
Quality is what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Some promoters are like quantity over quality, but you want quality over quantity. So I'd rather have a good 5-star show with 5 matches than have a 9 or 10 card show with subpar. And people start to die out.
Indie show seemed light now. That seems like,
I know, yeah.
That seems light. Dude, I'm not joking when I've seen like 15, 16 match cards. Like as if we're doing WrestleMania out there or something,
Oh, brother. Woo, WrestleMania, brother.
It's just too much. And like half the matches, like you say, aren't worth it.
No, exactly. And then like people get tired and they want to go home. Like no child or no adult wants to watch wrestling for 4 hours.
Yeah. You can tell by that, like, and it's always the worst. Is like, I mean, if you've ever been booked on a show like that late in the car, which I have, by the time you get out there, like most of the crowd is gone.
Yeah, like if you're doing
just, like burned out, looking at their phones.
Like if you're like, it's different if you're running like a production, but if you're like just a production TV, like a non-TV production show, and you're just running outside of a hall and you have 19 matches. It's just like you're gonna be there for like 4 or 5 hours watching wrestling. might as well bring the barbecue with you.
Yeah, not good. But let's segue into another segment here where we're gonna have a little segment on the show where we have fans ask us some questions. So I've got some questions pulled off the old Twitter machine from
the old
Austin Snyder 90 at Austin Snyder 90. So I'll ask you a couple of these here, and I'll try to answer them too, as well as myself.
Yeah, of course.
Matt, how do you prepare for a show? Just any show in general.
How do I prepare for a show? Honestly, I like it sounds cheesy, but I throw on My Sacrifice by Creed. I just throw it on one time. I really do. I do. I really do. Before, it doesn't matter if I'm on my way to.
And that's the end of the show, folks. We're never having another episode again. My Sacrifice by Creed. That's not a work.
No, it's not a work. No, because when I grew up,
your own Desire video.
Yeah, I love the old Desire videos. They're so good. So like, it always hyped me up. Like I always get hyped up listening to it. And then I would either it would be in the truck or in my headphones or whatever. I'll listen to it one time and then I'm pretty much ready to go. A couple jumping jacks, push-ups, just get a little bit of a pump.
Ooh,
but
pump daddy.
But that's about it. And what do you do? What do you do to
like before a road trip or like literally right before a show? Like I guess to get to a show, I'm one of those people that like constantly overpacks. If anyone's ever been in a car ride with me, they know that I bring like 3 suitcases for like a day trip to go to a show.
3 suitcases?
Like I'm terrible. I'll bring the suitcase with all the gear, like the boots, the ab wheel, the tights, all that stuff. And then I have the other suitcase. It's got the gimmicks maybe, and then normal clothes. And then because I've been in school for 20 years, I've always got the backpack with the homework that I'm not going to touch. On the trip, but I'm going to pretend like I'm going to do.
You just bring it to bring the homework to make yourself feel better.
Yeah, and I got the homies are always like, Divine, like what the like they could be
like what the are you doing? Like why do you have your papers with you?
Yeah, but like to prepare for a show, I don't do anything special in terms of like preparation. I don't listen to Creed, unfortunately. I don't have any like special songs or anything like that. But like, I just overpack and like I try to make sure I don't forget something. That's like my biggest fear. It's like
forgetting.
Road trip. There was one time where I was like flying when I was living in San Antonio, Texas. For you folks who don't know where that is, I hope you do.
It's Texas.
I was flying to Portland, Oregon for a TV taping, brother.
TV taping. This guy's a TV star.
I had the bags packed, I had them loaded in the Uber, right? I called the Uber to the airport. I hate driving parking at the airport. It sucks.
No,
So
it's like too expensive.
And we're like 3 miles from my apartment, and I realized I forgot my wrestling boots.
Oh, that sucks.
It's the worst. I literally like grab the dashboard and I go, turn this Uber around right now. The dude like looked at me like, what? And I'm like, dude, I will give you a fat tip. I promise. I was like, I forgot something that I absolutely cannot.
Oh yeah, you need those boots.
Like of all the things to forget, right? Like
if you forget your tights, that's fine. You could borrow someone's tights,
or like
but like
wrist
the boots
tape or something, you know what I mean? Like, or hair gel. Yeah, like
wrist tape.
any other gimmick, you know, like even any other gimmick you could replace, but like the boots is like so hard to like get boots from someone to wear. And just I would just feel like an abject failure showing up without boots. Be like, brother, I gotta wear sneakers. You know, like
Nikes.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with if that's your gimmick or whatever, that's what you wear and it goes with your gimmick, like that's fine. But like for me, like I can't wear white Air Monarch dad shoes with my tights.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Brother, I'm for comfort, not for looks. Okay, second question from Austin Snyder 90 on the Twitter. What is your mindset walking to the ring? I know I heard Jericho say that he would like lip sync lyrics or whatever, so like he was talking go in the ring.
Oh, like he was talking.
Yeah, you know,
I don't know. I just kind of like I just get amped up. I don't really like.
What are you thinking going into the match? Like, you got a checklist going of like the spots?
Not really. I kind of just go with the flow. Like that's just me though. I kind of just go with the flow, feel the energy. Like I also, you know what? This is what I do, and it sounds stupid, but I read the crowd. Like I listen to see like what side of the crowd is hotter, and so I can like kind of like have them in the palm of my hand. You know, right there.
Right here.
No, but that's for real. Like I have a great time, and like that's how I feel. Like I just have a great time, and then I still do my job. You know, I want to make sure I have a good match. I'm not really overthinking anything. I'm just kind of like going into it.
Yeah, I know. Being your tag team partner, it seems like every time we're behind the curtain right before we went out, you'd always have to pee.
Yeah, it's the pre-match.
You'd literally look at me and go, dude, I gotta pee.
Dude, I gotta pee.
And I go, all right, well then go pee. And you'd be like, I can't. It's too late.
It's bad luck. It's bad luck. The pre-match pee. I've botched pee. So I had one time before a match. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. No, I can't do it. No, I had to. I had to go. Had to go. And then botched that match. And I never not. And I like, yeah, you're like, oh, it happened one time, but that one time could happen a second time. That second time could happen a third time.
Because you've never not botched before, right? You're just the perfect worker.
That's not. I never said that. But I said
that's what you're implying, that the reason you botched the one time.
No. See, that's the thing. You can't. No. You can't just you can't just assume that. I'm just saying that I don't pee before matches because I botched one time doing it, and I don't want to just repeat it. It doesn't mean I haven't botched before. I've botched many times. Thank God it's I'd want it to be on Botchamania. Yeah, seems like you get a little bit of a rub, you know?
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah.
Piranha.
All right. Final question from Austin Snyder 90 on.
Holy, this guy's just loading up questions.
He did. He emptied the clip on me.
Holy.
What made you want to be a wrestler?
I'll let you take the first one on that one.
Well, I mean, for me, like you mentioned, like comic books earlier. Like I was always like really into like Ninja Turtles and comic book characters and Spider-Man when I was a kid. And when I first got like officially exposed to wrestling, like I think when like I got exposed to it like early on when I was a little kid, like I saw like Yokozuna versus Bret Hart. It's one of the first. The WrestleMania, right? I just now realized you were wearing the title.
Do you just realize it? Okay, well
that's how much I'm paying attention. What's your cat's name, by the way?
Oh, that's Leo.
Leo, special guest star. This is a 3-man podcast.
Right there.
Anyways, so yeah, like I got exposed to it. I remember like Yokozuna's Bret. I remember seeing like a random Undertaker match as a little kid, you know, it's stuff like that, right? But then like when I really got into it is one of my best friends this is like when the Attitude Era got hot with Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve
Mm.
Austin. If you've ever heard of that guy,
No, I've never.
He's
heard
pretty
of
good.
stuff.
But yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
you got to see this guy, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And I saw it, and then I was immediately like, boom. That's
Yeah,
when I
you're
went from
hooked,
like
right?
casual to like hardcore, right?
Yeah.
Hardcore fan. I watched it. I had to watch it every time. Like The Rock,
Like
Triple H,
religiously,
Taker,
right? Yeah.
Stone Cold, all those Attitude Era guys. You know what I mean? And I loved it. And I was like, wow, this is like real life comic book, right? This is like comic book, but in person. And I was like, I want to do this, you know? And like as a kid, you feel like you have like I want to be an astronaut or a fireman or like the president, you know, and it's kind of felt like one of those things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like one of those unrealistic kid dreams. And then as an adult, I didn't pursue it right away, which is my only regret in wrestling, is not pursuing it immediately. And I waited a couple of years. And then I eventually was like, you know what? I hate this regular day job I'm doing. It sucks. I work in a factory and I hate my life. And I packed up and I moved to another state and I started training to be a wrestler. And that was it. I've been involved with it ever since.
Where did you train?
I trained originally in Salem, Oregon under the Grappler 3, Eric Baden. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Nice. Little shout out there, eh?
Little shouts out Eric Baden.
Eric Baden's a good guy.
Eventually got polished in San Antonio by the great Funaki. So let me just pick that up right there. That
did you just? Oh yeah, you might want to pick that. You know, you dropped something there.
Yeah, you know. He loved being name dropped, dude. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you though? What made you want to be a wrestler?
Like it's like my dad was watching it one day and I was a kid. I was like 3, and he had me on his knee like an old person would, like an old man would, and he was rocking me, and I was watching wrestling, and it was like Triple H was on the TV, and I was just so captivated, on what was happening. Like, just there's so much action, and the fact that like every time like, let's say Triple H throws a clothesline and then like the crowd would react. It's just like, oh my God. And that's touches based on like crowds being in wrestling as well, right? You just need that realism. And then like at one point we just stopped watching wrestling, family issues, divorce, and not able to afford cable and that.
Dark.
Oh, that's dim the lights.
Yeah.
And so like when I was like 13 or 14, we got cable for like the first time in like a long time. And then like all of a sudden SmackDown was on, and like Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. This is literally like maybe a year before Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero feuded for Dominic. So like it was a really good time in pro, like 2004, 2005 is when I really got.
Would it be the Ruthless Aggression era?
Yeah, the Ruthless Aggression era, pretty much.
Yeah, that was like the Workers era right there on SmackDown.
Yeah. SmackDown was holding the numbers for sure.
SmackDown 6 or whatever. Like those were some amazing matches.
So good. Yeah, and like that's when I got back into it, and then I started wrestling, like doing backyard wrestling with my buddy.
My
buddy Matt. I don't care if people know. And then like the moment I like started doing it, I was like, I want to do this. Yeah. Like it was so fun. It was just fun. Like I knew we weren't doing it properly, but it was just so fun. Like
I think everybody who wanted to be a wrestler around and wrestle with
everybody. I know did backyard wrestling. Everybody. I will call
maybe not necessarily like had the ring in the backyard, but everybody played around as workers.
Everybody did backyard wrestling because everybody has to start somewhere. You don't just watch it and be like, I'm going to be a wrestler. You practice and you do it as a kid, right?
My buddy and I would do the stupid thing. We'd like literally be like working a match, right? But like wrestling in like the living room or whatever, and like literally we'd be commentating as we were doing it. But for some reason,
my God, Dillon goes for a suplex.
For some reason, we were both Jim Ross too. I don't know why, but
oh my God,
yeah.
He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead.
Off a hip toss, yeah.
Oh my God,
because that was the voice of the era, you know, and that was the voice of my childhood right there. So.
Oh yeah, JR, so good.
Good old JR.
Good old Juror.
Well, Matt, on that note, I think this has been a successful pilot episode. I say that
think
now.
so too.
Nobody's going to want to see another episode. But I thank
you know
you
what?
for joining me, my fellow
Yeah,
co-host.
no, it was easy. No, it was good. I love it. We're definitely going to be doing.
Matt, where can the fans, the Mizarks, where can they find you on the social media? Let me just alienate all the fans real quick. Where can the Mizarks find you on social media?
No. We love you guys. You can find me on Facebook at Matt XStatic, Instagram at Matt_XStatic, Twitter, same thing, Matt_XStatic. You can find my business ESQ Home Maintenance also on Facebook if you ever need anything done.
In case you need a power washer, brother. And if you're hearing a squeak noise in the background, that is my puppy playing with his squeaky duck. So another guest star on the podcast. Maybe he'll be on the next episode. I got a new golden retriever puppy. So
I want to see it. Yeah. But where can we find you on your socials?
I have Twitter at Dillon Divine, one word, and then I have TikTok, Dill's TikTok, DILLS TikTok, all one word. And then I have like a Facebook fan page. I don't really check it as much anymore, but you can always add that, Dillon Divine.
You should go follow it.
Yeah, you should go follow it. I don't have Instagram or Snapchat or Bookface.
Because he's an adult.
That's right, brother. No. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for everybody for watching. And if you have any fan questions like Austin Snyder 90 at the Twitter did for us, post them in the comments. Tweet at us, Instagram at us, Facebook at us, ask us something.
Yes, sir.
If you have any suggestions, comments, concerns,
if you want to be a part of the show,
because we don't care. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Guest suggestions, anything like that. But on that note, we'll catch you later.
Yeah, and that's behind the curtain.
Ooh, I like that.